everybody. I'm back. Welcome to Life After Death and Beyond. James from Prague, and I'm here with my good friend Kelly White.
Hi, everybody. Hi, James. First of all, James, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
I'm back.
Look at the Irish to you, Kelly.
Thank you. Did you have a great time?
Well, back yesterday, had the best holiday. I haven't had a vacation in over 10 years. Seriously. It was always work-related. So it's the first time I did nothing. My good friend Janelle Campbell, we know, great media from Australia, good friend. And we just had a lovely time just being each other's company and talking about spiritual things. And we had lots and lots in common. And it was miraculous. And we just let ourselves go and have a good time and just enjoy. And doors open left and right. I mean, we got to Notre Dame Cathedral right away. There were lines. And some there said, come on this way. And we were just escorted in. Another person's taxi driver didn't drive us back to our hotel in Portugal, but decided to bring us a tour of all the important sites in Portugal that evening and didn't want to charge us. And then we went to see my books at the oldest bookstore in the world.
Which is phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And I didn't know they had my books, but I had them all in Portuguese. And he was kind of blown away. And I gave him some. And we had just a magical, miraculous time. And I've been feeling great until an hour ago. Then I realized, jet lag.
Oh my gosh.
You gave me but about an hour ago. They got me. But I think it's pretty good, Kelly. How have you been?
Everything good has been good here. Everything is good. And we missed you. But I'm so glad you're back.
I kind of just didn't do anything but hang out and ate a lot, and then drank. And it was great.
And tell everybody where you went.
Well, I went to, I met Janelle in Paris. We met in Paris. And Janelle, Kevin, and Kelly, we've been on a lot of tours together and cruises, and we kind of meet in different cities around the world during these tours and these cruises. And she was with me on my tour last year, 2 years ago in 23, on the COVID cruise that you and I did.
Yeah.
On my 65th birthday. And then she went to Scotland and Ireland, England. And then, we went to France, Paris, started there, had a great time there, walking around and seeing things. Then we went to Portugal, to Lisbon, Portugal, which was a big surprise, lovely. And then we ended up Madrid, which I loved Madrid. And the weirdest thing happened. I started speaking Spanish really well without even knowing
really
basic Spanish, but words came out of me. And I knew I had a past life there. And it's also my DNA that I'm part of Spanish. And people would say, they'd start speaking to me in Espanol. And it was like, it was so strange. And very nice trip. So I got back yesterday and we had this amazing time. So
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you're back. And
Thank
my
you.
gosh, James. We have it. Oh yeah. A lot of miracles. Yeah.
It's happened. Wow. Yeah. So this is funny. We have a wonderful guest tonight, and Amy Leigh Mercree. And Kelly and I wanted to do a show on auras and sensing energy and colors and so forth and using that. And I was just, funny enough, talking to Amy before the show, and I was at an event about 5 weeks ago here in San Diego, and I was called the very last minute. This lady Stace was a lovely lady, and she said, "Would you doing anything tomorrow?" It was a Saturday. "You want to show up as a surprise guest?" And I did. And I went there, and there were books there, and I looked at this one book and said, "This is a great book." And it happened to be Amy's book, and I just realized
something. Isn't that amazing?
So yes,
that's so great.
Please welcome Amy. Would you like Kelly to introduce?
Let me introduce her. So we have Amy Leigh Mercree tonight, and she's a best-selling author of over 15 books, including the book that James and I are talking about, Aura Alchemy, which I can't wait to get into this. She's a holistic health expert, and she's a medical intuitive. She teaches internationally. She does next level healing, meet your guides, mindfulness meditation, and a bestseller boot camp class. So please welcome Amy Leigh Mercree. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh my gosh.
So happy
to be with you, and I can't even say how awesome it is. My book just came in and said, "Hi, James."
It was the weirdest experience, but we're open to weird, and it was just warm. The first experience, like when I was looking at this is warm, this is full of incredible information, and I had picked up your book. Then I actually literally bought a copy there, and I started going.
Oh, that's so funny!
To be on the show when I got back, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is just."
You're already reading it.
It happened like that, and it's an excellent book.
Really great book, Amy. Really great. Oh my gosh.
Thank you both for saying that. And it's been kind of a book I wanted to write for years. And Hay House finally let me write about particle physics. So I was just like, yes.
Well, tell us about how did you get into auras and what is an aura?
And what is your background? First of all,
Yeah.
let's about your background a little bit.
So
If you don't mind.
I love all these questions. I have been a medical intuitive for 24 years. So that's my background. And so, I've spent all this time looking at the energy of the body, and that does also often involve the aura. So I've always been a science person, and I actually started working as a medical intuitive. I used to call it multidimensional healing when I was 23. I had apprenticed with my medicine teacher. I had a degree in education from college, and then I started doing this work and learning about the intricacies of the body. Then a couple years into that, this is kind of a side story, but it kind of fills it all in. A couple years into that, I started to channel a project that was a complete system of healing where I drew the cards and I wrote channeled messages from the periodic table of elements because I'm a science person. And that took me 6 years. And at the end, my guide said, because that's my job, I talk to spirit guides. I talk to, ancestors. I sometimes talk to spirits who passed. I talk to every spirit guide. I look inside the body and find the root cause. So my spirit guide said, this deck will be published by Hay House and be all over the world. So I was like, okay, well, how do I get a book agent? How do I do this? It took 20 years. Hay House bought it. It comes out May 27th. This is one of the advanced copies, the Atomic.
But you have 15 books, right? This is your 15th book?
This is my 19th project.
Your 19th book?
Or Alchemy is the 8th.
Are you kidding?
Wow.
So I had to write a lot of books, and through all of that, I was like, well, maybe I can get to the point where I can get somebody to publish my weird periodic table project.
Was it weird getting an agent? Because we have the same agent in common, everybody.
Yes, we do, right? Yes, I have. It took me 6 years.
Okay.
Dr. Lori Nadell, who you guys might know. Yeah, Dr. Lori and I became friends. She came on a retreat I put on in 2008. And then a year or two later, the Ascended Masters came to her and said, you need to introduce Amy to Lisa Hagen. And thank goodness she did, because I'd been trying for 6 years. Our agent is Lisa Hagen. She's amazing. She might be listening to us now. She's fantastic. She's an angel.
Love you, Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa's the best. So the long story of that is I was working with the periodic table element beings as guides early on, learning the subatomic ins and outs of the body and creating what now I teach my certification, the atomic healing method, which is a medical intuitive system I've created. So it's all kinds of different channel protocols and things like that. But then it also does encompass the subatomic makeup and the force, the charge, what is the energy of the body, including the aura, which I define as a biologically generated electromagnetic field comprised of subatomicals that are also known as photons, which make up light, electricity, and electromagnetic force. So we are generating a field, which is our aura. Sometimes we also hear that called a biofield in some of the different Barbara Brendan work and things like that. So that's the long story of where I started and how this book came to be.
When you went to school, when you were younger,
yes.
What did you study? What did you want to study?
I ended up getting a degree in education, but I started in college wanting to study physics, and I wanted to go into astrophysics and astronomy. But I hit like calculus 2 and a big case of ADHD. Went, I don't know if you can do this right now. I also didn't know how to study. I've actually considered, like, when I retire at some point, which I'll never really retire, maybe I'd go back to school and get a PhD in particle physics or something, because I'd kind of like to do that. But I ended up getting a degree in education.
And a quick question, if you don't mind. This opens up a lot of interest here. Have you been in touch with particular scientist guides that you have?
Yes.
Because I know that Einstein is around you.
Yes. I actually channeled this whole book years ago of his 33 principles of life and business. And it's just in my writing. It's in some like black and white composition book in one of my Rubbermaid bins of journals. Yeah. Yeah, he's a helper.
Yeah,
You feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that, the medical, the science, and yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Kelly.
Oh my God. Well, it's so interesting because we've worked with a couple of other people that have worked with Einstein as a guide. And when he comes in, he really comes in. He's so spiritual. He really wants to help and activate so many different minds and so many different ways to see things.
Big time. He came into me, I think, in about 07 or 08, and he channeled that thing. And he told me his name was What's His Name, and he doesn't care what you call him. He has no mind, which I feel that way. I literally said that to you guys before we got on the.
That's right, you did.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel very non-attached in many ways.
Well, so do you?
Sorry, Kelly.
Do you see auras around people?
I sometimes see auras. So I have a policy because I'm an HSP, empath, whatever. I turn it off. I seal up when I go to the airport in public. Otherwise, it's like being in a Brock concert that never ends. And you're
being responsible, Amy. You're being responsible.
I have to. It's also nosy, and that's one of the things I teach in my atomic healing method is consent is, the primary thing. Also, I don't want to see it all the time. Do I see auras? Yes. Do I sense auras? Yes. Do I leave the channels open all the time? No, that I finally, after 25, 30 years, learned to turn them down unless I'm trying to, do that.
A quick question for you is when you sense or see auras, just curious, I know everyone is very different.
Yeah.
Do you find it easier to see color, or do you feel sensing first and then color, or how does it work for you?
So I tend to see auras as mutable and always changing. So I have in the book, I have my medical intuitive color chart, which is like hundreds of colors and what they mean in that way. We also have I also have the chart about texture. So I'm kind of, sometimes I even see my eyes see it clear but moving, but then I fill in the details. Texture is very important to me. Spatiality, as far as how spaced out things are or are not, too. So I have synesthesia. So when I see something, hear whatever, sense something, there's like a whole range of other information. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. It's like a gradation of metallic taste. It's a gradation of tones, tonalities, sounds.
Yeah.
The way I see it, what the color actually means, what the feels like. If numbers feel like it's like a lot of stuff.
And to keep it simple.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question here. This stuff pops in my head. Sorry, I just got to get it out of my head.
Yeah.
So tell everybody here the importance of thought, that people have thought. What does thought?
Yes. So here's how I see it. I see time, space, and thought as three separate dimensions that intersect in duality. So thought influences time and space within the construct of duality. Now, is duality illusory? Of course, it's an illusion, and there's so much outside of it, but yet we are here in it in our physicality. So to me, thought is an influencer, and it intersects time and space, and it can affect either or both and vice versa. So in the experience of mastery of our thoughts and our feeling state, that is one of the ways we create change.
And do you sense when you're sensing auras or seeing auras, do you sense that people's thoughts in that auric field? Do you pick up those?
Oh yeah.
The particles or by whatever of those thoughts in that field. It's like, wow, this is someone else's, because I always sense that, they're carrying around someone else's energy in their field. Yeah, I do. And so in my medical intuitive work, I really am always looking for, like, if someone is coming in with a wellness or health-based question. And of course, I always state I'm not a doctor. Everyone is, advised to consult their health practitioner. Everything I do is for informational purposes only. However, entertainment purposes only. Wait a minute, I gotta say
that.
I gotta scream this at you because I am AHPD, obviously. I'm jet lagged. Question for you: how often? Because Kelly, I know you go through this as well.
Yeah.
Will you meet a client and you know it right away. You're sensing the energy, and what comes out of the mouth does not meet at all the energy field.
It happens. Although I have set very strict parameters with my guides about the clients I attract.
Okay.
So at this point, I have said to my guides, I would like to work with people who are aligned with what we're going to do. They're going to really enjoy and get a lot of value from our session. And then they will be benefited, most likely choosing to follow through with what we have, or, getting great benefit and leaving with a great mindset. So it's less than it used to be as far as what you asked.
But honey, you're setting up, Amy. You know what I love about that? Yeah. You're setting boundaries. You're setting boundaries.
You have to when you do this work.
You have to.
But even before it gets there, you're setting connection and boundaries with it, which is fantastic.
I was so interested when you were talking in your book. You have this thing about ancestral auras. Have you thought of this, James? It's fascinating. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of different things in there, ways that we can clear the aura and then boost it. One of the ancestral things that, was very channeled and came through when I was writing this, which was definitely a channel process. I think you guys are, you feel into that, I have a specific process in there to buff out the inside of the auric egg, because on it is the same coding of the inside of the egg from which we were born. And it's an ancestral coding.
Can you imagine, James? It goes back to the different ancestors.
Yeah. And it's passed down. So
it's like a web.
Yeah. So imagine if we go in and we buff out all that does not serve us from that inner edge, and then we even allow new coding to be channeled in that's high vibrational, infused with joy, et cetera, et cetera. Then one of the other things I always say is we're human projectors. So our internal state is going out through this lens of our aura and then externalizing and exponentializing in our reality. What if we did clean the lens and then charge the lens with high vibrational light? Look what we can create.
Wow. Because we do a lot of work with generational traumas. And that. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about when you talk about clearing this up, clearing up a lot of the traumas.
And a lot of souls come back on this earth to do just that, don't they? They come back just to cleanse these ancestral auric field or those patterns.
I think that's the glue of incarnation.
The glue
a great way to put that.
That's how I see that.
Great.
Yeah. What we call ancestral latency in traditional Chinese medicine, that is the glue of incarnation that makes procreation work. It's the wheel of karma, but it doesn't have to be a death sentence or a, over birth, reincarnation sentence. It can be an opportunity to evolve the line and move into consciousness instead.
Amy, a quick question. So when you forgive my ignorance here, but when you let's say have a client, I don't know if you do in person or Zoom or both or
phone. I do the audio.
So
always
when
audio.
you tune into them, just my own curiosity, because as we all work differently.
Yeah.
When you're tuning into the how can I say it, the soul, I guess, are you also tuning into their highest being, their higher vibration of the soul, or more the physical, or different levels, the mental, the emotional, all of it? Tell us about that process.
All of it. And I'm also tuning into their guides and my guides that I work with. And sometimes everybody's talking at once. I'm sure you guys all experience that. But I do synthesize that. So that means also all those levels, whether it's the personality self, the higher self, everyone they've been, their ancestors, everything's simultaneous. So everything's there. It's really just tuning your ear or whatever to hear the answer to what they asked or whatever's the highest good. So if I'm looking for the root cause, I am going to look at the parts that pertain, the ancestors that maybe contributed, that want to help clear it, whatever, will be who come to the front. Because, otherwise there's an infinite amount of people, beings, whatever you want to call them. They're all.
And because I'm a Virgo, I got to ask this question.
I'm a Virgo.
I'm a Virgo.
September and August. Which one? What are you?
September.
Like-
I'm not that Virgo-ish. I'm
Are you
Virgo-ish, but yet I'm not.
When are you? Early September.
Yeah, early.
Yeah, that's it. Kelly's September middle.
I'm September 20th. Yeah.
I'm August 24th. The very beginning.
Different types of Virgos.
Different types of Virgos. It rules service humankind, of course. And so a couple questions I have. So I just my Virgo part of me. So animals. What's your connection when you tune into animals?
I love animals.
The human species, perhaps. And how is it different?
So animals, it's interesting because in this work, even though I don't call myself an animal communicator, people say, hey, can you look at my pet? So you end up talking to animals. And I also have I don't know how I want to call it, a deep relationship with animals in the wild as well. I'm a nature person.
Sure.
So I don't have pets personally, just because it's a lot of energy for me. But with animals, people always ask, do animals have an aura? Absolutely. They also have a biologically generated electromagnetic field. Of course they do. And I do work with people with their animals for health, but with animals, it depends on the type. With like domesticated animals, cats, dogs, etc., it's definitely something I communicate with them if I need to with images.
Okay,
I'm also
interrupt you so my Virgos take over. Would the subatomic structures of animals be different than humans?
I mean, like the organs and stuff are somewhat different, but there's a lot of similarity when we go down to those root cause levels, and it's the same matter, energy, force, charge makes up all of us too. So there's that. I've also been very fortunate to swim with wild whales and dolphins multiple times. Yeah, through seeking it out, synchronicity, all kinds of things. So that's a little bit different. I've also shared space with, Florida panthers and stuff. I encounter a lot of animals. So sometimes, every animal is a little bit different. When you swim with the whales, it's like, oh, this is a giant aura, and I'm just in the presence of a master being of something. Yeah. It's also just so big you're in the water and it's exceeding your field of vision,
True.
So everybody's different. Every human's different. Every animal's different. And species are different. They certainly have different energies. Tell me about your whale dolphin encounters. I love to hear about that other animals.
That's you, James. I've never done that.
I went down to Mexico with some people for a retreat, and part of that was on off the side with some people, and we did a dolphin.
Oh, I was with you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kelly, you were there.
I did that. I did do that.
That's right.
I forgot.
We rode on the dolphins too. They let us do that thing.
The
purest feeling and sense. That,
right.
And there was another time I swam, Kelly. I don't know if you were with me there, but I don't know where the heck it was. But it was with a small group of people in a pool with them. And I guess it was meant to be there, but happened twice. It happened once there, and it happened. I used to live in Laguna Beach in California.
Yeah.
Down the beach, and there were pods going by, and I tuned in, and it was very similar, just a pureness, an involvement beyond my species, as human species.
For sure.
Such an the way to describe it. As you know, we're so limited in our words here because it's beyond words.
I know.
It's beyond words.
I know.
And grace.
So much, and just the interconnection too of all of these species, whether we feel this with our pets or we feel this with various animals in the wild. That's our connection to nature is what keeps us balanced, and that interconnection is what keeps us balanced.
So
how can we help people clear their aura? Talk to us about cleansing an aura, because I hear that expression all the time. What is a good way to do that?
It's a great question. There's so many ways. Obviously, I have 20 plus or something in the book, but there's a few different ways. So I have some favorites. A favorite of mine, which I think is really useful on a practical level, a medical intuitive level, and an aura level, is salt cleansing. So I usually recommend you do this in the shower before you turn on the shower, because it's going to make a mess. And I'm like, take a giant thing of like sea salt, Redmond real salt, whatever. Like you want to use cups and cups of it. And so pouring it over your head, pouring it, if you keep your mouth and eyes closed, pouring over your face, pouring over the back of your neck, doing like a dry salt scrub. And so that is an energy clearing experience. It does clear your aura. You kind of swish it, close the shower curtain and kind of fling it around through your aura, etc. You really go for it with your salt. And then you wash it off, wash it down the drain. If you have a lot of hair, you might need to condition it because it can be a little dry.
Sure.
So that's the energy clearing part. Here's the other thing. That is a traditional Chinese medicine technique to bring what we call the Wei Qi, W-E-I, external Qi, to the surface. So that helps us with our empathic sensitivity, our HSP stuff. It also helps us, not a doctor, with immunity. So if you have been exposed to cold, flu, et cetera, you can do a salt cleanse, bring your Wei Qi to the surface, and fortify your auric edge and your actual immune system, which is an extension of your metal element channel, your lungs specifically. So you do your salt cleanse, and then you rinse it down the drain. It's just so multi-purpose. Everybody can benefit from that.
And how does water play a part in that?
Water swishes it off, swishes it down the drain. And everybody, who doesn't love a good bath? But you are sitting in it. But in this case,
does heat or cold matter or no?
I don't think so. No, it's whatever you like. I don't love the cold. I know people like cold showers and cold plunges. If you can stand it, awesome. Yeah. It's also a great way to relieve a headache. Salt the heck out of your head.
Let me just ask this. I'm sorry, Kelly, I'm just jumping in here. Remember, my jet lag. So when people talk about, I got to go there. When people say to me and Kelly, a lot of people, my house is haunted or this place.
Right.
What do you do to clear the aura of a space?
I have many things for that, including I wrote a book called The Healing Home that gives you all the ways to clear your space too. Wow. So check that out, but I'll tell you too. So one of the things I talk about in Aura Alchemy, as well as The Healing Home, very similar list of what I call flammable botanicals that we can use to smoke cleanse a space or an aura. So you can do it for both. I absolutely love to use mint. It is so refreshing. It's so bright. It's just really wonderful. You can use it fresh or dried. Obviously, in Healing Home, I go through a lot of steps around safety, like having a trivet and everything, because you don't, it's fire in the house. So if you're doing your aura, go do it outside if you're able. Because then,
excuse me, did you say mint?
Mint, yeah.
I thought you did. Okay.
Yeah, garden mint.
Lavender? Can lavender do that?
Lavender's great. There's so many flammable botanicals. So Aura Alchemy, I give you a whole list. There's a chart. The Healing Home, I give you a whole list. There's a chart. They're mostly the same, but different applications in the home and the aura. They do the same things.
Wow. We have a question for you. Does the aura reveal what organ is absorbing an energy leak or trauma or settling of any stuck energy from the chakras that are not spinning clearly?
Can I ask that question?
Great question. Somebody also asked if you can use dry salt or if you can use saline or if it has to be dry salt. I recommend dry salt. I did see that in there a minute ago. Okay. So yes, I look at from the TCM, even though I've written multiple books on chakras, in my medical intuitive work, I look a lot more at the organ meridians from a traditional Chinese medicine standpoint. You can absolutely see that in the aura, and that's part of what I go through in my extensive color chart. Some of the colors we might see or sense or perceive in certain areas of the aura may indicate imbalance in a certain organ meridian. So an example of that might be if we saw smoky gray in the area around the lungs, and we would know maybe somebody had some density in the lung channel. If we saw a weaker, spatiality, spaced out, not dense enough chi in the area around the kidney channel, we would know that that's a deep kidney channel issue. Those will show us what's going on. Like we know the lungs are associated with grief. A lot of people have heard that. kidneys are sometimes associated with fear, the primal fear of like what people would also equate to the root chakra in that case. So if we were to see that, then we would know, okay, we need to fortify the kidneys. We can do that with certain activities, with certain herbs. Like, for example, an activity to face fear in a safe way would be to go out and experience dark in a safe place, like if your yard is very safe, and just play with the edge of the primal fear of the dark. That may help tonify the kidney channel and release fear. And so then that energy might get more cohesive in that area. So that's an example.
Wow. Wow. Oh, and to give us some tips for a healthy aura, like what is to do a healthy, vibrant aura?
A healthy, vibrant aura is filled with joy, the highest vibration in the known universe. So one of the best things I do, and I always like to have people do, we just repeat the word joy over and over out loud in the field, and you feel white light, and it always elevates up through. That's how I always see it. Joy elevates up through. It takes it just to a high frequency white light, and that's what you fill your aura with. Just say the word joy over and over. That's all you gotta do. Go outside in nature. That'll help too.
It's really weird because I just came from vacation and holiday for the first time in over 10 years. And I paid particularly attention. Janelle, my friend who went with me, was also a very good medium, and we just let things be. Yeah. And miracles happen every day. The last miracle at the airport, at my gate, there was a sign. I said, okay, I'll be using this one day. I know that the Spirit showed me this. It said, go with joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just go on the joy train. Go on the joy plane.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
And joy is part of the journey. JOURNEY. Joy.
Yes. Yes.
Very Virgonian.
Yeah, it really is, James.
Right?
No. I have a question for you. I had a client once that came to me, and when she walked in, it was in person. When she walked in, there was just dark energy around her, black around her, actually. I mean, all I could see was just this, and I wasn't looking. It just was right there in front of me, all black. And I brought her into my office, and I didn't even start with, this is how I started the session. Are you suicidal?
Yeah.
And I went right to that, and she was suicidal. But have you ever seen that with somebody when you're working in this field with this, where it's just like this heavy, heavy, heavy dark energy? It was that pronounced to me.
I have. And like I said, I've set that parameter now that if they're going to come in and shift, then I'm right there with it. But yeah, I have. And in the past, I have. And other things too, where, people have different heavy things in their field. My personal perception is nothing can enter our field, nothing can attack us unless we allow it. So if the person is ready to look at why they allowed it in, and it's usually a worthiness issue. I mean, I think we're all always up leveling our sense of worthiness. Yeah. Even if we have great self-esteem, we're still up leveling our container for how much joy, abundance, success, love we're willing to take in. We're up leveling our worthiness. So yes, I have seen that, and it's because somebody let it in. So to shift out of that, all someone has to really be willing to do is think differently and look at that could be different. And in fact, I am worthy of setting that boundary, not letting that in, and then we can shift it. Then we can clear it. Yeah.
What about, Amy, this is interesting. Again, this is just popping in my head, so forgive me, just spit them out. So when someone comes to you and you're very aware that in the auric field or in their, whatever, the egg, around them, that they're holding on to an old trauma, let's say divorce, let's say a death of a child that happened 20 years ago. What happens? What do you do with that?
So again, hopefully they've come in and they're ready to shift. We look at if whatever the root causes. So I kind of think of it like if you had a house and the front door's open, the back door's open, the wind's blowing through. If there's a magnet in the wall and it catches something, we need to take that magnet away. So what is it? Is it an ancestral density or a karmic density where that experience has happened before and so it's stuck? Then we do that. A really great tool I have seen to work with trauma also, which I do recommend, and I am, as I've stated, not a psychotherapist, et cetera, et cetera. So if somebody needs that, they need to do that. But there is a tool called neurofeedback. It's wonderful for all kinds of things. I get it for ADHD. I've used it to remove trauma. I use it to remove things and move through things. If somebody is healing a deep somatic level trauma, neurofeedback done, deep state neurofeedback done by the, a correct person, usually a psychotherapist, can remove that somatic imprint from the body, in my opinion. It's one of the only things I think can do that I know of at this time. I mean, we can do it with miracle healing, absolutely. But if somebody needs the physical experience, then that is it. But we take that root, if there's a root frequency that has allowed that to stay and stick, then we need to figure out how to take that out.
And in that layer, I'll tell you how weird this is so in coincidence, but musical notes. What is the highest vibrational musical note to do healing work within the auric field?
Ooh.
I know.
That's a good question.
I know there's that 105, whatever, that certain.
Yeah. There's so many.
Yeah. It's
So
curious if you knew that.
I use some solfeggio frequency mixes, and I sometimes suggest them to clients. There's a guy, actually, I don't know this guy very well. Sometimes I look at his Instagram. His name's Emiliano Bruguera, I think. You guys might like to meet him. I think he's Italian. His music is very high vibe. He has like a lot of different frequencies. I use the D note didgeridoo for energy clearing and clearing of the aura.
I feeling you did. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I use that for myself to clear, like after sessions. Sometimes with clients, if they need to clear, then I recommend they get a D note didgeridoo, which sounds like a big endeavor, but I got one on Etsy for under $200. And
my husband actually plays it.
Does he play it? I had to watch the video because you have to do this thing with your lips, and it's kind of funny at first.
My husband played it for a lot of different movies. He's done it.
Oh, well,
we have 1 or 2 or 5 of them upstairs.
If you ever need to clear your aura, you just play it in a corner without too much padding, and it bounces back through your aura. That's what I do for myself.
And and for old clients, like when I used to do one-on-ones, and in some way I still do this when I meet people. Sometimes I'll automatically do this. I will go and wash my hands and I'll sprinkle water in the auric field.
Yes.
Do that automatically.
Yes.
You find that's another way of cleansing afterwards.
Absolutely. I do this too, like snap, 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 clap,
Totally.
clap. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yep.
I just and I just say I disconnect in all dimensions, all interdimensions, and all realities is needed for my highest good.
It's so wild. I do the same exact. And I also use Mother Earth. I use Mother Earth a lot.
Yes.
I'm doing that. I bring in the Father Sky, Mother Earth. I bring it all in, just like you.
I do this thing where I call it defrag. I defrag down into the earth. So there's like a defragging pad and then into the root, and then I pull everything in and I push everything. I mean, you have to have so many techniques when you do this.
So weird, Amy, because I do the same thing. I'll do notes. I'll do musical stuff. I'll blow it in the air. I do.
Yes. What notes do you use?
I'm sorry.
What musical notes?
I have no idea.
They just
load it, and I just give it. It seems like it comes in exact what is needed at the time.
Yeah.
They come in and they release it. And I'm a singer, so from the past, I never used it professionally, but I go through it, all the different notes, and I just let them come in. And it works. It works.
It does work.
I use light as well. I bring that light in as you do.
Yes.
It does. I mean, I use all of it as you do. And
it's
all there for the taking. Why not?
Well, tell me what you do too, James. You do the shower one.
Yeah, this one for years. I've become aware of that. It's years ago. That's like years ago. Whether it's a golden light, that divine light coming into the crown, and I use it with the shower water, and I made it natural. Those droplets are gold light. It comes in. It surrounds every muscle, every cell, every fiber.
I love it.
take out anything of a heavier vibration, and that heavy vibration, like the magnet, goes down to the body and it leaks out of your fingertips and your toes like Hershey's.
Yes.
It goes down
I
the drain.
love that.
Same thing, it's different.
That's very similar to a technique my late medicine teacher used too. Very similar.
And I got to tell you this because you mentioned the word magnetic. I'm doing a retreat in Hawaii in July.
Ooh.
Mind, body, spirit. And part of the mind which I'm doing, which is demagnetizing different traumas. Yeah.
Yes.
They mentioned magnets. I'm using the
I
magnet.
love that.
So
That's what it is. That's how you do it. And then there's no charge and off it goes.
there's no charge.
It's like there's no outlet to plug into, so it has nowhere to plug in.
It's neutralizing.
Yes.
And you give more space for joy to come in.
Yeah.
It's true.
Absolutely. What an awesome chat, you guys.
Well, we're all on the same platform.
We sure are.
Oh my God. How can people reach you, Amy?
They can find my website, amyleighmercree.com. That's also my Instagram. Sometimes I'm on Facebook too, Amy Leigh Mercree. My TikTok is I am Amy Leigh Mercree.
Good one.
That's how you find me. Yeah, my website mostly.
And you do these kind of sessions. You do aura sessions, or
I do medical intuitive readings. I have a pretty limited calendar. I have some concierge level clients. I have sometimes sessions on the calendar. I have book launches, books due, things like that. I also have some people who work for me too. So you can find me on my website on the sessions page and see if I'm available or my crew is available or both.
You have a practitioner as well. And let me ask this, do you do retreats?
I have in the past.
And if not, you need to.
You are the second person in an interview who got that, like a psychic person who was interviewing me and said, you need to do retreats.
It's so true.
So I haven't run a retreat in a long time, but I will, because apparently everyone wants to keep telling me that.
Or I can get you Omega Institute in upstate New York. I'd be more than happy to introduce you there because that'd be a good place for you to begin. If you're
I could do Omega, yeah.
You know Omega, right? You've been to Omega.
I haven't been, but many of my author friends teach there.
You should do a weekend retreat there.
Yeah.
I'll set that up for you.
I love it.
Yeah.
James has said it, so now I gotta listen. Hey,
gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
Besides books, and people would like to learn different ways and physically you being there and so forth. And I think you have a lot to offer.
It's a lot of great information.
Thank you. It's actually on my calendar.
Okay.
I keep moving it forward. Email Omega and Kripalu. And I keep moving it to the next week or the next month because I'm busy. It's in green, so I see it. I'm serious.
I'll contact them for you.
The spiritual agents are working through you. Do your retreat.
The funny thing is, I just went to pick up my mail because I've been away for 2 weeks. I went to my box and the only thing I got was a catalog from Omega.
Oh my God.
There you go.
You get all the sides. Goodness.
Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous.
That's a great saying. Oh, I love that. That's an awesome thing.
It's really, really cool. And you do stuff online with people too?
I do. I teach my Atomic Healing Method medical intuitive certification. I teach bestseller boot camp since I've written 18, 19 books. A lot of them have been bestsellers, which is really wonderful. We have an amazing agent and all kinds of things. It just takes time to learn the business. I also teach Manifesting with Atomic Healing, which will be coming out. It's not running right now, but it will be coming out soon. I also teach Spirit Writing with the Grandmothers of the Seven Directions. I teach all kinds of stuff.
Well, lovely. If you don't mind talking just a little bit about the Atomic Healing, can you give us one or two ways or items that people can just look at?
Yeah. So Atomic Healing kind of started with the periodic table element deck, which is now called the Atomic Healing Oracle.
It's so Virgo. Love it.
Isn't it? Like, I'm just going to channel a complete system of healing. It first will be a 111,000 word book that I'll have to cut down to 20,000 words. And we'll just do it on the periodic table. That's like so normal, right? We'll just do this. Is just like anybody would do that, right? It is very Virgo, isn't it?
Very.
So the atomic healing method is kind of an evolution of what I've learned through all these years as a medical intuitive. And it's really about, and I actually talk about a lot of the techniques in different ways in the Aura Alchemy book as well. It's really about understanding that our thought, everything that is moving throughout us is made of photons, which are electromagnetic force in charge. And so whether it's me gesturing like a Mediterranean here and moving my hands, or our automatic things like breathing or thinking, it is the movement of photons. They move out from our body through our aura into our life. So if we choose to charge them using thought and feeling with a high vibrational thought, feeling, idea, intention, we can project them through everything and affect our external reality. That's the essence of it.
Wow.
Just charge those photons with joy. That's really all you got to do.
And it's just so weird, Amy, if you don't mind me saying so, Kelly. I do that without knowing it. Or
You do.
The people that are in that impasse, maybe, your senses, I think in some way we kind of realize that and do that.
Yeah,
and
we
I
do.
think that when you do that, we want to mindfulness, if people want to learn about mindfulness or meditation, it's really getting that sense of being aware of that, isn't it? And sending out that love.
Yes, that's what it is.
Love, that's all there is. Really.
That's all there is. And it's also tuning to those same like frequencies as they come to you. And those are the ones you allow in. Those are the ones you connect with. And that's also your interconnection to everything.
And I find nature, for me personally, I've designed 8 different gardens around my properties. And
oh, how nice.
Yeah. It's a very Virgo. And
I have to.
They give back, as you know.
Yes.
Nature to me is just so there for our taking. And
yes, it is.
Being that nature plays a big part.
Yeah, yes, it is. Well, and it's natural light, and it's tapping us back into that whether we want to call it photonic movement, the movement of photons, in the way that is attuned with the earth, as opposed to, we love our devices. It's why we're talking. But when we tune back into, those natural rhythms, that's what our body is meant to tune to. And so it brings us health and happiness.
That's true. A quick question before we go here, because this is big for a lot of us. Stella George wants to know about the best way liver cleanse, fighting off fibromyalgia, bronchos, et cetera. Is there just a way of technique that you can just share with us?
We have so many things we can do for liver cleanse, and this is the time, because equinox, this is on our live show. I know some people will be listening, but our equinox is Thursday. This is Monday night. So this is liver season. Everything is provoked right now. We're having all this, everyone's having all this stuff going on. It's a bunch of hot, thermally hot upward liver chi going. So all you really have to do right now is harness that. Get out in the sun. Let yourself clear, hydrate, all of that. And then you can use citrus, grapefruit for gallbladder, which is the companion hollow organ to the solid organ of the liver in traditional Chinese medicine. Lemon, lime for liver, especially lime. A nice lime cleanse also, I feel, clears not only the anger that people associate with the liver, but under anger, there's typically sadness in the inner core of the liver. So we just clear that out with a nice lime juice. Squeezing a lime in your water. If you do want to move grapefruit for gallbladder, you can do that too. Just move it out with gentle citrus, hydration, plenty of electrolytes, outdoor time. It's spring. That's really all you need to do right now. And also just understand that it's okay to let these things come up and out in a constructive way. If you're overwhelmed by liver heat, which can often be headache, back of the neck tension, anger, overwhelming emotions, put your feet in the hottest water you can stand and pull that liver heat back down. That's a great headache remedy.
Interesting one. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Really good.
But do let it flow up and out if you can, if it's not overwhelming, because it's the time, it's provoked right now. So it's a good time to let it fly, essentially, in a constructive, healthy way.
Wow. Well, thank you so much.
Amy,
everybody's loving this conversation. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you guys so much.
Wow.
It was so great to chat with you. I loved all the questions and your energy and your comments from your attendees.
Well, everybody remember Aura Alchemy. Great book, excellent book, full of information, great information.
Wow. Thank you, Amy, very
Thank
much.
you guys
Thanks.
so much. It was awesome to be here.
Everybody. We'll see you soon. I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.